The Perth Racing Preview is where the Straight Up team finds you the winners, and here's the Straight Up team with their preview of Saturday racing from Ascot.
Well, I have to apologise to the legion of fans out there if they chimed in a little bit earlier, because I sacked this man 1 week too early. He's in. McGinnity, a very good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Mart. Hi, Riles.
Hi, Brad. They all might have changed the dial.
Probably did.
After you announced that McGinnity wouldn't be joining us today.
I highly doubt it.
And then once McGinnity heard that, he would have sent messages out on X and they'd all be back on.
Oh, I doubt that too.
Text line's open. 0427 789 571. This is live. It's not a podcast. Well, it does end up a podcast, but it's live.
Why can't we have both?
Yeah, one already nice and early. Hey, guys, Dutchie is back. Best 30 minutes of my week, Mart, with McGuan. He's a miracle worker. Could even get Morgan to pay for a pint. He's that good. So a nice little clip for me off the top from Dutchie.
There's a few redbacks in the wallet. There's no doubt about that.
Thanks, Dutch.
Refuses to shout. 2153 up there at Geraldton. Butterfly Rock, Tash Faithful. Gee, that was an eventful race, wasn't it? They all decided to go at the one time. $1.04, $1.40 and $1.04 beat Bombay Style 330 and Behara no third. 320 Quinella Exacta 380, Trifecta 970. First four 1540. The double 1 and 2 $1.64 and 7 out. Need to get cracking because you keep looking at your watch, Riles. What's going on? You've got to be somewhere?
Oh, no, it's just people letting me know that I am a tight ass on the text line.
Oh, your texts come through on your watch?
Yes, I do sometimes, Mart. I don't have one of those nice watches like you have.
They've all been sold years ago. All the good ones, they're gone.
Flogged. They're in some old man's trench coat now in the corner of
that's where.
East Perth somewhere.
Big meeting here on Saturday. Now, be serious here, folks. 33 degrees, sunny, and it's going to be northeasterly during the morning, tending south-southwesterly during the day, 15 to 25. What do you think the pattern will be out there?
Yeah, you know what I reckon, Mart? I reckon on pace until it proves otherwise.
There you go. It's one of his best.
Get in the queue, punters.
Yes, around the back, pal. Grandstand Cup.
I think it was Dutchie's best.
What, the Grandstand Cup, the Natasha Stakes, and also the Schweppes JC Roberts.
3-year-old feature racing. We love it.
Tash Faithful being interviewed at the moment. Let's have a look at race number 1 on the card. Just a holistic overview. What are we thinking of this meeting? Confidence levels?
I really like it. Really like the meeting. I think it's some very competitive racing and a few races I'm happy to bet into, Mark. So fingers crossed we can find a few winners.
I'm intrigued and excited.
Right. As a bookmaker,
So I'm extrigued.
Splinters over there.
As a bookie, are you thinking you can win at this meeting or a bit worried? Because you'd be licking the wounds after yesterday, sure.
Yesterday was a very punter-friendly day.
Even with 12 big ones.
Yeah, that was a fun Monday pricing, that meeting. That was world class. Tantrum levels are at about a 14 out of 6. This is going to be a really intriguing meeting, yeah, because we've got a few that are pretty well backed early, Mart, that are nice and short now, and yeah, we'll be swinging off them. So we'll go through those as we get to them.
Now, I was really worried there for a while, but the Maulers males just dropped as well, so that's fantastic. The Mauler didn't know I was on course last week, and I've sprung in an impromptu appearance on the first floor, and didn't he get excited?
Wasn't allowed in.
He's
no, not where we are.
I saw him. He came to the front, and the old bloke waved him off. And
said, off you go, champ.
See you, buddy.
He's expanding his wares this week, Shorty. He's got a special in the AFL. Very keen on Brisbane.
Is he? Hey, now you may laugh, but when we were having a chat on Monday at the Inglewood, he was sizing up that minus 58.5 and thought, wow, this is just...
For jam.
Yeah, yeah. Taking weed off a blind chook, he said. That was his exact words.
If I'm going to put you on the spot, Mart, and
Yes.
you as well, Brad, what is the margin in that game this weekend, West Coast and Brisbane?
80.
What about you, Brad? What are you thinking?
I'm in the 70 range at
70
least.
range? Yeah.
Can't see
Yourself, Ross?
Oh, jeez. It's bad.
It's not a great start to the season.
No.
Okay, race number 1 is the Tap Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap. It's over the 1,000 metres, and we have Sky Duke, 270 to 320. Jazz Session, $1.85 out to 205. Hayfield Boomer, 41 into 21. 4 My Lovely Pet, 4 to 350. 5 Simply Rosso, 51 to 34. Classic Ruler, 31, 34 into 23. And Chavorio is a $51 chance.
Local Sharpie Keen Hayfield Boomer at the big price there. A little snip at the 40s for Mac Hall, who is absolutely humming at the moment. Well played, sir. My Lovely Pet, ESPs, marked their away early.
Mm-hmm.
My Lovely Pet, 800 there at the 380. A little bit of snipping, even Eastern States pros, Simply Rosso, a little bit of snipping there too.
Bit of speed here.
Yes, there is.
Field.
Sky Duke should lead. I thought Jazz Session would breeze. And My Lovely Pet box seats that pair in behind, stalking with Hayfield Boomer, who's had a little bit of early support at the long odds for the firing Mac Hall. I'd really like the setup here for My Lovely Pet, jumping up into West Speed Platinum Saturday company. He's in career best form at the moment, this horse, for Bronwyn Matheson, who's done a terrific job with him. He was dominant at Mount Barker 2 starts ago, really cleared out on the chasing pack by a big space with Oscar Charlie, who was a subsequent winner in very quick time at Narrogin last weekend. Last time we saw him, stepped into a Class 3 at Ascot. Was a really nice win, defeated Talking Gibberish, who was a dominant winner yesterday. Really strong winner yesterday to make that form look even better. And the beaten favourite through that race, Cryptic Joy, was another huge run in defeat yesterday to make that form look very good. I think it looks a terrific map, stalking the speed pair, Sky Duke and Jazz Session. The 3 runners in the market are likely to be the first 3 horses in running here. And I just think this horse has the ability and is racing well enough to make that leap into Saturday company. I think My Lovely Pet's not a bad way to start the day. Jazz Session short enough at the $2, has posted strong figures in each of her last 2 wins as well. I just thought last start had the world perfect run and just held off Military Power, who isn't exactly a superstar. Perhaps a slight query on the strength of that form in behind her, and will likely have to breeze here with Sky Duke, who I thought was a big run wide throughout last start at Bunbury and can land on the bunny from that inside draw. Brad?
Mark, they had the Rihanna's out at Pakenham.
Yes, there's an indefinite delay at Pakenham because of that weather. They ran the last race in torrential rain and it's continuing on. And Pakenham's in the path of that front that's going through. So indefinite delay punters at Pakenham. What about Sky Duke in this?
Well, looks the one to get to the top, rolls in race 1 and dictate to some extent, which is, and at the 1,000-metre distance is always a preference. So... Can't write it off. Jazz Session, I mean, for mine, it's going very well, so wouldn't have to drift much further to interest me. But, yeah, the money early is for Riley's tip there, My Lovely Pet. Speaking of, how is Dougal, Mart?
Oh, yes, he's flying at the moment. Yep. Just got to find the right race for him, but waiting for all the good greyhounds to leave. They've been over here for the, obviously for the Galaxy and the Perth Cup, but once they go, we'll find a race for him.
Outstanding.
Smart.
Yep.
Just choose the right time of year.
Correct. He's the lure. The Cassius Grey proudly off the track plate over the 1,100 metres is race number 2.
Time honoured.
Yes, for the 2-year-olds. And Castle Road has been 2.90 out to 3.10 for Big Paulie. 2 Pemberton, 19. 3 My Authoritar. 9 into 5. Here we go. You were ready for me, weren't you? You're reading me like you wrote the book.
The preemptive.
Oh, Brave Dragon, 23. 5 Energetic is $14. 6 Friars Legacy, 31. 7 Who's Bent, 5.50 to 5s. 8 Hard Solos, 26 to 19. 9 God's Rapture, 5.50 to 5. Spicy Thang, 21. 51, 41. And 11 Wonderfully Made, 15 out to 19, bang into 10. Bit going on, the 2-year-olds.
Bit of blue steel about that meerkat, Mart. I liked it. I liked it a lot. My Authoritar, yes, local pro, keen early 1,100 places at the 280. Oh, Mitchie, stop it. Maybe that's why the power went out here. Those text messages were banking up. Who's Bent? 500 at the 550, 500 at the 550, 400 at the 550, 300 at the 480, 300 at the 480, 300 at the 480, 300 at the 460. God's Rapture, 500 at the 550. Some local pros and Eastern States pros keen there. What else do we have? A little bit of snipping early at the big price each way, Hard Solo. And local Sharpie pretty keen, Pemberton as well. Good punting race.
Oh, cracking race, Brad. You could probably sit here and dissect this one for about 10 minutes. There's plenty of quality from the trials, from what we've already seen on race day. We see some returning horses who've done some good things as well, in the form of our favourite Castle Road, who looked very sharp on return in a recent 400-metre jump out. Does have to carry the weight under the set weights and penalties conditions of the race, but
he's earned it.
He's earned it, as you mentioned, Mart. And my slight concern with him is whether he does find the top from the barrier that he's drawn. He popped at 1,100 metres the last time we saw him at the races, when made to do a bit of work early doors. Maybe he'd had enough by that stage.
Shinny had to be.
So I just think that this is a stronger race than the races he had been winning earlier in the 2-year-old season. I think he's short enough at the price, at the $3.10. So I'm going to be looking around him. Not overly keen on the race. I think there's a multitude of winning chances here. I tipped into My Authoritar on debut at Bunbury. What I think and still think is a really strong 2-year-old form reference. Was a little bit slow into stride. Travelled up really nicely in behind them, Brad, and was made to just duck back to the wrong part of the track on those inside lanes, and then wasn't fully extended through the line. Beaten a length and a half, Fiery Spark, and had plenty more to offer as well. I like the fact if he is going to be a stride or half a stride slow out again, that he's drawn a bit further out and that he stays out of trouble this time around. And prior to that, I thought he trialled like a really nice horse, My Authoritar, so no surprise to see the support there. Slight knock potentially being the drop back in trip to the 1,100 metres, but if he does end up a long way off them in running, but I do think he looks a really nice 2-year-old My Authoritar. Who's bent, barrier makes things tricky, but the trials have been super. God's Rapture, really good debut. Hit the line super like a horse who wants more ground. Gets sat here, draws a barrier, gets pike as well. Huge respect for it. Energetic, trialled super for Neville Parnham at double figure odds. Just saw everything in those trials that you want to see for a 2-year-old leading into its debut. Wonderfully Made. Another horse who's the full sister of Precious God, who we know has got plenty of ability. I thought trialled really nicely in behind God's Rapture as well. And even Hard Solo, no surprise to see a bit of support there, who was a terrific run in defeat there at Bunbury last start in that same form reference race that I really like, Brad, behind Fiery Spark.
Yeah, and you add Pemberton being a complete forgive last start, and Brave Dragon, who's trialling up well too. Spicy Thing, who was fine on debut. There are that many chances. It's just all comes down to where you had them, Martin, and which you want to back. Energetic's $18 around the traps each way. That could get me for a sneaky. I like how it's schooling up. So, but otherwise, I think it's all eyes on the favourite. If it does get to the front without doing too much work, it will be very hard to beat, Mark.
Yeah, I thought he'd get across. Craig Staples normally gets him out very quickly from the barriers. Gets across. If he gets across, I think he can win. He might get out to a decent price.
Well, yeah, and I couldn't really see too many that would have any intent to hold it out either. That was the other thing. What about yourself, Ros? What did you think in regards to the early speed?
Oh, these 2-year-old races are hard, I find, because they're always just... You seem to think like you've got a map for a horse that's drawn somewhat sticky, and you think, okay, this does look like a nice enough map for it to get across. But because we've just seen a lack of exposure for a lot of these horses, they can really fire up and get on the bridle early. It doesn't exactly always go to plan, and you can see 1 or 2 horses really fire up and try and find the fence from those lower draws, which could make life a little bit tricky for a horse like Castle Road. But, gee, look good in that recent 400-metre jump out. And I think if he shows the same early speed that he showed in his initial campaign, given what we've seen here on exposed form, he is going to be hard to hold out from finding the top, despite the barrier.
Are you putting My Authoritar in the book?
No. I'm happy to sit out of this race. I thought there was a multitude, Mart, of winning chances here. Horses that have trialled up nicely and also looked the goods in there. Well, the ones that are exposed have looked good on race day as well.
13 minutes away from this game commencing. Hawthorn v Carlton, MCG. Hawthorn on the ground at the moment. And if you haven't caught up with the news, is that Mackay is out and Young is in for Carlton. Also the news from Pakenham. There's just an adjournment to this meeting at the moment as there's heavy rain going through. A soft 7 is the latest rating there from the track. Race number 3 at Ascot on Saturday is the Joello Proudly Off the Track handicap. It is over the 1,600 metres. And the start time at 1:43. One Henry the Aviator is $7 to $8.50 to $8. Success Play, 460 out to 550. Number 3, Fine Touch, 9 out to 12, but back into 8. 4 is Golden Door, 440, 350. 5, Patchwork, 18 out to 31. Now 6, Correct Choice, 280 to 340. 7, Uniqueen is 41. 8, Happy as Larry is 10. And number 9, Sideshow, 16.
The local Sharpies and Eastern States pros are keen early Golden Door. So we've had a 600 at the 440, 750 at the 380 there. Golden Door. Eastern States pros keen Fine Touch when it got out to the $12. A couple of $200 bets there. Eastern States Sharp Money, Happy as Larry at the bigger each way price as well. Aside from that, not a great deal to report, Rolls.
Yeah, not a race that overly enthuses me. This one, Brad, I am the way the market has it at the moment is pretty similar to how I've got it. I do think Correct Choice and Golden Door look the two, if they do get the right runs, which is not always the case, particularly in a race that looks a little bit sticky from a speed map perspective. Correct Choice, still a Class 1, but very progressive. Loved his run fresh at Bunbury behind Premium Girl. He hit the line like a horse looking for a mile. Should improve with that run, and being a So You Think, Peter's investments, Brad. I just love the profile as he builds into his campaign. I think he's going to be a horse that can win some races moving forward. I loved his first up run, and Golden Door, he's just suckered me and many in this campaign. Wasn't able to reel in Barramundi last start, but that does look really good form. You look at all the form around Barramundi this campaign, and that's holding up everywhere you look. So I think that's good form. Likely to have to settle last from the barrier here, which always makes his task more difficult, but it's not the strongest graduation, 60 plus, and he did tick that mile box for me last start as well. Make a case for Success Play from the Breeze, going super. Fine Touch is going better than numerical form suggests as well. She's been building into her preparation really nicely. And Happy as Larry, if he can find the front, then he could give some real cheek as well under Lisa Staples. But not a race I'm overly keen on, Bradley.
Yeah, same. I agree. There's that many chances for Marty if things play out right for the right horse, so I'm going to keep it pretty simple and Correct Choice. If it gets to 360, 370, 380, which it will, and probably already is around the traps, that's enough for me to find out it's the right draw for it to be not very handy, but it'll be close enough, probably 2 pairs back. And that'll get me. I love that return. That's
really good run.
Always sort of like the horse, thought it had a bit of upside and looks to have come back a bit better, so good to go.
Mickey Grantham gave a really strong push for that horse, chatting to you, I believe it was, Mart, on Drive or one
Correct
of your
Choice.
shows. Correct
Yep.
Choice, prior to its first up run, said this horse will go very well.
Yeah, and it certainly did. And I'd have, as you said, Rylie, it's a bit of a tricky map. I couldn't find if there's genuine speed in it, and you'd think this horse would go better with a bit of speed in, but Barrier 3 may have to take it out of the comfort zone a bit and get it a bit closer in the run, which I don't mind. It's a So You Think.
I think so.
They can handle a bit of that sort of racing. So, yeah, I think Correct Choice. But again, there's no value, McKennedy. You've got to pump up the tyres a bit to get me betting.
Come on, Brad.
That's on the drift, Mart.
Just be better.
All right. We better have a look at this market at Geraldton because the runners are heading to the barrows. We're 6 minutes off. The Mullawa Farm Supplies 25th anniversary handicap. Well, you've done some of your best pro running, the Mullawa Gift. They tell me, McGinnity, back in the days. Pulled up for 2 years and
until chafing got the better of me.
got a very good Very good mark.
Very fast twitch
Off
athlete.
about
McGinnity.
15 metres he was. One Mombasa is $5 from 8. For Taj Dyson already on the board. Well, this is the third of the good things collective. Getting a bit easy. Your girl Kira Yule's aboard, 175 to 195. Be Seated is 9 out to 21. Traded Crown, 5 to 6. Special Plan, 550 into 480. Sanabo, the 7, is 14 from 11. 8. Viva Rock, 23, and 9 Pilot, 101. So that race is due to go in 5.5. Let's have a look at the 4th at Ascot on Saturday. And this race is the Blazing Morn, proudly off the track handicap over the 1,200 metres. What a horse he was. And it's over the 1,200, time to go 2:23. Supportive, 8 to 7. Canny Rock, Canny Ever, 650 into 5.
That's yours.
Dennis Chu is 11-13 and out there at 13. Number 4, So Lucky. Well, he put up 4. He said there's 4 there if you want it, punters. And then all of a sudden, bang, they've come and knocked it into 6 to 4. $2.50, So Lucky. 5, Don't Wait for Luck, $12. 6, Sure Thing, 11. 7, Best Mood, 5 out to 7. 8, Whackin' Tankers, 71. 9 is Nobility is 19. Number 10, Mini Winnie at 41. And Schubeck, 23.
Mart.
Speed. What?
Mart.
Yep.
This is one of the better goats of the day, So Lucky. They're keen. Locals and Eastern States pros, they're lining up. They said, can we have it again? I said, you cannot. Because there's too many of you and you've had too much on Champions. 700 at the $4, 800 at the 360. Later on, they got involved again. 1,200 at the 280, 1,300 at the 270. Keen taking 270. Nobility. There's a little bit of sneak each way money there. A couple of hundred each way at the $19. Local pro money, Caddy Rock, 400 at the 650. A little bit of money there for Don't Wait for Luck, and I sort of get where that's coming from too, Mark.
Big go for the favourite here, So Lucky. I found this, I'm a bit with you, Brad. I found this tricky, relatively evenly graded bunch of horses. This graduation 60 plus. So Lucky has been in my nightmares, her past 2 runs, but having tipped in and backed her on both of those occasions. But she is going super, and while she was in at the time, I thought, how has she not gone past our Rocky Bay? That race has since produced 3 subsequent winners from it since, with our Rocky Bay winning again last Saturday as well to make that form look really good. So that's the A1 form on paper, no doubt about that. I just thought it looked potentially sticky little setup for this horse, Brad, given the speed in the race. I thought Chris was a chance of ending up 3 the fence. With her from the barrier, there's a lot of speed drawn low and around her. Back to 1,200 metres, I think could be a positive. Looked a bit grindy at the end of that 1,400 metre race last start, so I'm thinking maybe the drop back in trip is going to suit her. But she won't get me at 250. I've put her on top, but no value at the price. For me, Supportives on the back up, 72 plus, back to a graduation. Was a good run last start behind Cessation to grab 3rd, given the run she had in transit. The barrier makes things a bit tricky for her, but there looks to be really good speed in this, so might bring a couple of those back markers into it, Brad. Horses like Best Mood, who put in his best run of the prep last start at Bunbury, back to the 1,100 metres with those blinkers going back on. Don't Wait for Luck was a huge run. Luckless as well last campaign, fresh before some feet issues derailed his campaign. He resumes off the 8 weeks, but I do believe the bars might still be on. We haven't received notification that the bars have come off, so might pay to just watch any late notifications fired in there, given he has had a lengthy layoff, but he did race in the bars the last time we saw him. Canny Rock finally broke through last start, Brad, and had proven himself in 66 plus company prior to that. He's been going super for a long time and finally got that win on the board. And Sure Thing brings intrigue as well. Been belting them from wide gates under big weights down in Esperance and smashing the clock as well. I thought if he could get to the breeze outside Nobility without having to do too much work, then he wasn't without hope either in what's a very open race.
Yeah, I concur. It's not one I'm getting involved in at this stage. If I was sort of forced to at the current prices, best mood, maybe it's finally put together a run that tells you it's back to near where its best was, and I think its best was actually quite good, so proper Saturday class form. One that could get me here. So lucky. I sort of get it. I had it favourite, but gee, if you've been on it its last few,
patience is wearing thin.
Indeed. We'll see.
Okay, we're on the Ascot preview here on Straight Up. The Varley Bert Harrison handicap is race number 5 on the card over the 1,000 metres, and it is due to go at 3 o'clock. And one Boppin' Blue has been 210 to 275, back into 265. 2 Charlton Eddy, 81. 3 Petula, $3.40 to $3. Number 4 Play That Funky Music is 41. 5 Capray Omnia, 31 into 13. 6 Bonnie Ladd, 31 to 26. 7 Brave Strike, 6 to 550. 8 Chirino, 9.59, and at number 9 Sinful Living is 21 into 14. So they're backing a few here.
You were that embarrassed by that earlier meerkat that you didn't even look at me, Mark.
No, I didn't.
I like it when you look me in the eye. Please.
No.
Please. Petula, this is the money. Probably doesn't look strong going on the flux, but let's rest assured it's been a pretty big go. The Eastern States pros and a couple of locals are really, really keen. Petula off a wonderful trial, it must be said, but we've had 1,000, 900, 900, 800, and plenty of smaller stuff as well. Also in a lot of multis, so punters keen. Petula. Chirino, nice 600 places there at the 230. Capray Omnia, a couple hundred each way at the 30s. The Bopping Blue money is now starting to trickle through on that drift, and we have had some Eastern States pros chip away at the bigger price. Sinful Living, Ross.
Yeah, good race. See the return of Bopping Blue. We see the return of Petula and the return of the 3-year-old classic winner in Chirino as well. Makes for a fascinating little clash over the 1,000 metres, Brad. We saw Bopping Blue was run down by Oxbridge when going around in the red in the summer scorcher. The last time we saw him, he was as dominant as you'll see first up last campaign at his first run for Luke Fernie with 60.5 kilos on his back. He's a proven fresh horse. He's a proven weight carrier. There's no doubt he'll find the fence. But in saying that, Brad, the question I will ask you is how much pressure is he made to absorb from a horse like a Sinful Living if they intend to ride her in the same manner as they did last week?
It's an intriguing discussion, isn't it? Because I'm of the thought process that Sinful Living probably isn't going that great. So can you really afford to go hunting your horse and looking for the front and risk getting beaten a pretty long way if things don't work out? Or do you just sort of hope to cruise to the breeze and just idle behind it and give your horse a good chance of finishing off the race and getting some confidence back?
Well, I think if they are happy to be a little more neutral, not neutral, but not as aggressive with this horse, Sinful Living, off the 7-day spin, given she was comfortably beaten in lesser grade last weekend, that the ball's in the court of Bopping Blue, who's going to find the fence and kick off that corner. Over the 1,000 metres, with his main danger, a likely back last in running in Petula, who the race could set up for if we see a real speed battle and Sinful Living does try and come out and get across a horse like Bopping Blue. I think that plays right into her hands with the sort of run she's going to get and the kind of horse that she is. Resumes here off almost 12 months. Last seen in last year's Quokka when running an absolute belter behind Overpass on that occasion. She's a proper sprinter, as we know, who can reel off some serious late sections. She ran third fresh in the Rock Magic last year. Now resumes here in a 72 plus. Trial was terrific, I thought, in the stable. As we know, Brad, absolutely airborne at the moment. Simon A. Miller. I think if Sinful Living does prove to be a pest for Bopping Blue, this will set up perfectly for Lucy and this horse to finish over the top of them late.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that Bopping Blue, well, I think it has to lead. I don't think anyone's sort of querying whether it will hand up because I can't see that happening. But how much pressure it cops, well, we'll find out. But I think it'll lead comfortably enough and from there deserves to be favourite just by virtue of the 1,000-metre.
Correct.
Course and the way Ascot plays in that regard, but no doubting Petula's a very good horse, and even if it does somehow end up being able to suck through from 3 back the fence or 4 back the fence and couple of gaps appear, it could absolutely do the job, and I wouldn't be shocked. But the way the prices are heading, Bopping Blue's the one that I'm interested in.
I think she's comfortably the best sprinter in this race, but the setup means Bopping Blue's a deserving favourite.
What did your notes say, Mark?
What about the speed in this? What did you come up with?
I think Bopping Blue looks your leader. And I think the query that we have discussed is how much pressure will Sinful Living apply?
Yeah.
Torino will get a lovely run in behind them. 3-year-old classic winner resumes, 54 kilos, like the trial in behind Petula. Not asked for a great deal down the straight at Pinjarra. I think that whoever's had that big bet on the place, that could be a smart little move.
So I know we discussed Capri Omnia last week, wasn't it, about its record at Ascot, but the money indicates they might have worked that out.
Indeed, because I thought it had sort of every chance last start and maybe was entitled to go a touch better, but when the money comes for these Bairstow horses, they tend to perform.
Score update, MCG, Hawthorn 117, lead Carlton 1 straight 6. Mabior Chol was the first goal scorer of the match. So anything in the book here for race number 5?
Nothing from me. Looking forward to watching how the 5th race unfolds on Saturday, Mark.
Legs of the quaddie commence, race number 6, and the race is the Grandstand Cup over the 1,500 metres, and the start time here is 3:41. And who would have thought Bruce Almighty, top in a Grandstand Cup, he's $9. He's a beauty. Ice Pick Nick, 4 to 5.50. What do you want to call it today, Mark? Desenia, 8, 9.50. 4 Fluoro Neuros, 4.43.80. 5 Watch Me Rock for Lockie Taylor, 3.30, 2.65. 6 is Henchard, 31. 7 Memory Parade, 8.50. And number 8 Without Reg is 23.
Oh, Mart, Watch Me Rock. 1,200 at $3, 1,200 at $2.80. Now there's 500 down there at $2.70, 400 at $2.80. Ice Pick Nick, 750 at $5.50. Fluoro Neuro, 600 at $4.40, 500 at $3.80, 500 at $3.40, 500 at $3.40. Oh, where's that Big John bite? Because they can have that again, Mart.
Again, champion. Bash. Well, Mart, one off the text line, a couple off the text line, actually. You were spotted on St. Paddy's Day by our good friend, the Dubster. He says he saw a wild Mart on St. Paddy's Day doing an Irish jig, trying to steal a few 4-leaf clovers off some Irish women. Must be after a change of luck.
Did you have the emeralds on, Mark?
No, I didn't participate. We had 4 beers at the Inglewood.
Just a boy, were you? Not a participant.
The emeralds were out on Saturday. Can confirm.
No, they were the Navy Blues.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know how good your memory is these days.
They were Navy Blues.
I'm firing in a protest.
No, I've got photos.
Like that picture, whether it's a blue dress or an orange.
I've got photos.
Yes.
And the Dubster, he's 5 weeks sober, not by choice, he says, though, because he's still awaiting his carton from the Mauler.
Mauler's, I think he's listening, the Mauler.
So,
right.
Duppy's best, 1 and done this week with Chirino in race 5 on the program, and then he's given Mart a clip because Brad and I spent 10 minutes talking about the speed in race 5, then Mart... What do you think of the speed in this
standard operating procedure?
Dub's on the ball. Good to have him back.
I've been doing all the speed maps. I had to get them in. Spent a lot of time on them.
He's even given you a fair dinkum, so he's asked you to aim up. Love you worked up.
Who was it? Is it Flaggers or
Fraggers?
Fraggers.
Yeah, the great man.
Yeah, he's chimed in late last night and said I said the West Coast would win 10 games. And
did you say that?
I did.
You did, but over the next 3 seasons.
I produced my book, which never lies.
We might need to check the tapes.
You can check the tapes. There it is. 5 out of 18 lost. 5-18 in the orange highlighter.
Well, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Fraggers.
And then he come back and had
Fraggers
another
is usually very good. He It keeps you very honest.
There'd be 3 seasons to win 10 games, wouldn't it? Okay, what do we got here in the Grandstand Cup? Because this is a listed race. 78 plus.
It is. It is. Watch Me Rock was expected by many to measure up in that Bunbury Stakes last start, and I'm not going to go so far to say that he didn't, Mart. It was a race run at a very strong tempo, and just maybe a mixture of being a touch flat second up and Pike also having to go back or choosing to go back to the inferior part of the track in the straight as well. A couple of things to take into consideration. I'm expecting a much improved performance from him, third up, 1,500 metres with another very friendly map from the barrier. He gets positive weight swings on Bruce Almighty and Ice Pick Nick for beating them home in that Bunbury Stakes as well. I was pretty keen on his chances to go there and win, and I won't be dropping off him. So Watch Me Rock goes in the book for me, Mart, and going to have something small on Dessinée as well, who I thought was a superior run to the favourite in the Bunbury Stakes last start. Was wide throughout on that strong tempo, and while you could mount a case he was in the right part of the track, I thought with the run he had, he was entitled to compound, but it was a really strong effort to finish off the way he did into third, and he can box seat here from 1 for the box seat specialist, Brad, and Shooter McGruddy. And yeah, hugely respecting of that performance, particularly given the price differential here between our favourite and Dessinée. So Watch Me Rock, the main play for me, but having a smaller play in the race on Dessinée as well for Geordie Rolfe, the marathon man at WA Racing.
Mart, this race has more traps than your van. I'm a little bit perplexed. There's not a heap of pace, is there, Riles?
Does Bruce lead?
Bruce probably leads. There's not a heap of pace. I reckon there's a couple down in the weights that could run sneaky races. Concerned about what happened to Watch Me Rock last start. Fluoro Neuro's been doing the job, but this is a fair bit stronger. Destiné's put in a nice one. Can it do that again? Ice Pick Nick's put in a stinker, like it's got to bounce back from that. So there's just so many queries for mine. And with that in mind, I'm probably going to do my standard and sit on the fence.
Mm-hmm. It's a safe place.
In patches.
The early money Fluoro Neuro, Brad, that intrigued me a bit. This is certainly a big step up, but a good measuring stick to see where he's at in comparison to this class of racing, and looks a really favourable setup for him if Clint Johnston-Porter can find the back of the stablemate, which I think looks every chance here, and that will be Clint's intention out of the barriers, to be on the back of Watch Me Rock and following Pike's every move.
Yeah, really interesting stuff, but I just don't have an opinion. Joe, I will mention, how good was Henchard last start and unsuitable? I reckon I had it priced about 500 to 1, and the Sharpies on the Eastern States actually got involved there and backed it a little bit into 50s, and it's run within a couple of lengths of Benji's. It's put in a belt. I'm not saying it can win this, but these are the sorts of races where sometimes they can throw up a little result.
Certainly can. I'm keen though, Mart. I'm keen.
Could be a Williams Quinella.
It also could not be, Mart.
Yeah. There's one in the next. You'd be all over it. Big swinger for 1. It's got your name written all over it. That's at Pakenham, the $1.75 favourite. Natasha Stakes, 2,200 metres, and it is start time at 4:18. Dylan Moore kicked Hawthorn second, 2:2.14, leading Carlton 1 straight 6. Glasgow Lass. Here she is, Glasgow Lass. 4:80. Noah Quintilli, 81. Ron's final flutter, 11 to 9. Flower of Gold, 11 into 650. Little bit of gusto there. Summers Legacy's 26. Machine Gun Gracie, $3. Twilight Tale, the good horse, 480. Carsavina, 71. Funchala's 14 into 10. Western Ladies, 41. Shazare is 71. And Miss Santa Claus, a roughie with a chance, $71.
Scratching, Art.
Down the bottom.
Deduction supply.
Midsummer Romance.
Deduction supply.
Midsummer Romance.
That was about 7,000 to 1. Machine Gun Gracie, 1,100 at the 290. Champion, it's ticked over a point for you. How do you... Funchal, is it?
Oh, Funchal. You can call it what you like. Doesn't matter. Call it Larry.
Funcha?
Call it Larry. He's enough.
However you pronounce it, there's been some money for it. So, a couple of 400 each way. Sorry, 200 each way bets there. for it, Machine Gun Gracie. 400 at the 275, or champion. You can have GST on that. Flower of Gold, the ESPs are keen. We hung it out a little bit.
Yep.
You've got to have an opinion on something. And I just thought Rolls from that gate. I just couldn't make a case for it to turn the tables on a few of them, so hung it out a little bit.
I'm double figures, so
punters got involved. Yep, and Glasgow Lass money's come there for the good mare who's ticking along nicely.
All of these, bar a couple, come through the 1,000 guineas. It was a race where they really rolled along, courtesy of GG Pops. They went 10 lengths above bench to the 1,000. They were really belting along and ensured it was a genuinely testing 1,800 metres mark. Machine Gun Gracie did all the bullocking work from the breeze. Glasgow Lass, the winner, had the world perfect run camped on her back throughout, who took her such a long way into the race. Glasgow Lass hit the front, but as you could see watching the race, Brad, Machine Gun Gracie was coming back and fighting back at her through the line despite the run that she had. And the fact there's no GG Pops here, for mine, really plays into the hands of your favourite, Machine Gun Gracie, who should be able to lead and control things here. I don't think she'll have any issues the way with her performance last start at 2,200 metres. She was just a monster run. It was a mighty, mighty performance given the work she did and the tempo. And she'll likely have really strong buffers on Glasgow Lass, Flower of Gold, Fun Shell, who are likely to be back in the second half of the field from their respective barriers as well. So I'm pretty keen Machine Gun Gracie at the $3, and I'm going to be saving on the Peters Investments runner in Twilight Tale, who for mine looks the key danger. Think she'll benefit massively from her first run in a race. Run at that tempo last start, a positive Clint Johnston Porter early doors, and I think she's a chance of lobbing in that first 5 or 6 in running from that barrier. So back and save for me, Mart, backing Machine Gun Gracie, won't be losing on Twilight Tale, and a couple that I can see really improving. Fun Shell was a massively improved performance last start, and very rare you get Pike on a horse that is only going to improve at those sort of odds. I think you have to be respecting a Fun Shell. And Summer's Legacy, I thought, was a big price off her run in comparison to the stablemate last start. I don't think she was too inferior to her Summer's Legacy, especially now that she's drawn a gate. So if you do like an exotic play, and there are going to be plenty keen to play around here from an exotic sense, throw Summer's Legacy into your novelties.
Yeah, Mart likes an exotic play.
Got to have an exotic play every now and then. This Santa Claus down the bottom, she's a good run, doesn't it?
She's ticking along nicely. There's certainly something
love the
there.
Distance. The trip.
Ron's Final Flutter, 3 wide no cover last start. Monstrous performance. Glasgow Lass, there is some chance, I know a lot of punters won't want to see it, there is some chance they go even slower on this and it does turn into a sprint home, which will suit Glasgow Lass. It's not always a guarantee when they step up in distance that they're going to go faster. So, but punters of Machine Gun Gracie, I think, would want to see her roll along, wouldn't they, Rolls?
Yes, they would. I could potentially see a roughie making her do a little bit of work if she does want to cross in Shazare, who we know was a really strong maiden winner 2 starts ago at Bunbury over the 1,700, leading throughout at a really genuine tempo. But just listening to the post-race interview there, Paul Roberts was pretty keen that she's going to be a filly where we see her best with cover, and we didn't really get the greatest of opportunities to see that last start when she was held up after being pocketed in a really slowly run race. So that could be one way of looking at this race and how this speed map unfolds. But I think if Machine Gun Gracie does find the top as softly as anticipated, she's going to be very hard to run down late off her performance last start. So she's the one for me.
Bit boring from me. Twilight Tale, the place around that $1.90, $1.95 around the traps mark. Was a month between runs last start, so maybe a fair bit of improvement to come on Saturday, I think.
Okay, where does time go? 5:07, 22.6 degrees, and we are up to race number 8, one of our favourites, the Schweppes JC Roberts Stakes over the 1,801 all grunt, 310 2 sale session, 350 into 280, 3 please Mizda, 51 4 play fair, 20. Number 5, Later Alligator is 18. 6 With Discretion, 6 to 5.50. 7 Pharaoh's Show, 23. 8 Net Zero is 23 from 31. 9 Superfluous, 8.50. Number 10 is Venus King, 51. And 11 Aces to Win is 34.
Oh, a nice 1,000 each way, Net Zero at the $26, if you don't mind. Sale Szechuan, Mart, 340, Pro Money Local, 900 there. Then 1,000 at the 3. Then another 400 at the 290, 500 at the 280, another 300 there at the 280. Sale Szechuan, good go. Later Alligator, a local sharpie's pretty keen there, had 250 at the $23 and another 150 there at the 15.
Just before we go to the Sandover medalist, Rylie Morgan, 3, 6, 1 and 9. I'm on the winner at Geraldton. Lactar Romilly, $3 and $1.50. New Attraction, $1.50. Black Sands, $3.30. Quinella, $6.60. The Exacta, $10.40. Trifecta, $54.70. First 4, 3, 6, 1 and 9, $285.40. 1 and 3, the double, $29.90. 11, 12, 13, 14. Out. We're talking about the JC Roberts with Rylie. Pace in the race, Riles. I've done these maps. I've sort of got Pharaoh Show and maybe Venus King punching up.
Yeah, the speed looks pretty weak.
Please, Mister, come across.
Field. Yes, Venus King, Please, Mister. The two for me, I thought would come across and take care of the speed here. It's a funny race, this one, and one that I'm sure is going to divide opinions, Bradley. Many of these come through the Lex Piper, and interestingly, our current favourite does not in Sale Session, who's on the back up from a very visually impressive 1,500-metre victory in Graduation Company last weekend. I'm just taking a little bit of a set against him. It was a really visually impressive win last weekend, and he does seem the kind of horse that's going to keep improving as they step him up in distance. But just going through his last 3 runs, 1,800-metre maiden win, defeating Barramundi 3 starts ago, and the way that race panned out and was run, that was a complete gift of a setup for him with the run that he had in that race. And then he he dropped back in distance to the 1,500 metres. He ran second to Eccentric Nature, who, in my opinion, had a bit of an off day on that occasion and basically hit the line locked with Cavallo Red on that occasion, who's a Class 1 and really hates winning, to be brutally honest with you. Then last week, given a 12 out of 10 from Lucy Fury from the widest gate, 3 deep cover, flowing run into the race, and visually it looked really good, but has only run the second horse Trespassing, Battler. You look at some of those other horses, Gage Rhodes has been thereabouts but has struggled to win for a very long time, and I'm just not sure of the strength of that form through that race last week, and I do think the 1,800 metres is going to be in his wheelhouse, but I just think at the price he's well enough found, but very respecting of him. All Grunt couldn't reel in too soon in that Lex Piper, but in his favour and unfortunate for too soon in connections that galloper isn't here. Was only a moderately run race. All Grunt had to get going early to be put into that race, but I just thought he really peaked badly on his run over the final 100 metres. So the 1,800 metres, which I thought he would get on his ear earlier in his campaign, is perhaps a bit more of a question mark than I initially thought it would be. I think a more genuinely run race would be in his favour here, but who knows how this race will play out from a tempo perspective. I'm actually with discretion each way, Mart.
Wow.
And the data suggests that the horse is, well, the data isn't overly strong for this horse leading into this race on the weekend, but he carried the 59 to a soft win in a Class 1 last start. It was only a very small field. The start prior to that, Brad, was a really big run in defeat at Pinjarra from a mile off the speed, drawn very wide behind the Lex Piper winner too soon in a race that was dominated by those horses that settled around the speed. Gets a gun run here from the barrier. Importantly, I think drops 5 kilos down to the 54 on this occasion as well. And I just think this looks a really good setup for him out to the 1,800 metres, and he's been a much better horse since those blinkers went on as well, importantly. So I'm with discretion on an each-way basis and taking a bit of a set against the two that dominate the market at the moment in Sale Session and All Grunt.
It is a bit of a concern for me that these Colts and Geldings seem to be, or $3 in general, taking turns a little bit. So that's I can see where you're coming from there, Ross. Could work out nicely for All Grunt. I have the same concerns. Like I'm okay with the horse peaking, but it did peak pretty, as you said, pretty badly. But I'm happy to give all grunt a mulligan. This is the sort of race that I think might work out where they might sort of pack up, and it might get a similar run to the run that Sale Session got last week, where it gets to track in wide and sprint. And if that does happen, all grunt is definitely the horse you want to be on in this race, because it's got the best turn of foot of this lot by a fair way at its best. So if it does happen that way, will remain to be seen. But it's getting out towards the price where I could entertain that. But if it does turn into a staying affair, your Sale Sessions, your play fares tracking quite nicely for longer and with discretion, as you say, Rolls, are a few to be considered as well.
It's getting a little nasty here early in the second quarter. Hawthorn will kick 2 in a minute, so it's 4-3-27, leading Carlton 2-1-13. Watson and Hardwick have been the goal scorers this quarter after Moore and Chol scored goals in the first quarter for Hawthorn. Hewitt and Cottrell have the 2 goals for Carlton. So 18 remaining in the second quarter, and Hawthorn got away to a blinder in this second quarter. Rightio, we go to the Lucky. And boy, oh boy, what a race this is going to be, as it always is. The Lucky last at Ascot. And the Ballast Racing Joiner Racing Syndicate handicap over the 1,800 metres. Filthy Habits. Well, let's go with it. 6 into 420, straight off the top. Material Witness 51. So War is 14. Above the Peg 11 into 10. Here for Checks is 11. What a Prince 23. I Dreamed a Dream 16. Premium Girl 350 to 275. Covert Rose 550. Blazing Emerald at 16. And Do It Right 51.
Tiff Slater scratching. That was
down the bottom
before markets came out.
Mm-hmm.
So no deductions there. Premium Gal, they started at, where did they start at? About 350.
Oh, she wins.
800 at the 350, 1,000 at the 320, 1,100 at the 290. They kept coming at the 275, 1,200 at the 275. Plenty more piled up there that I've forgotten because of old age and bad eyesight. Covert Rose 600 there at the 550. Filthy Habits, some good money there. A couple of 500s at the 460 and 440, and earlier local pro money 400 at the $6. So a bit of a Dutch approach to this race by punters. There is chipping away at a few other horses, but it's got to be said that Premium Girl they are very keen on, and they are saving Filthy Habits as a community.
One off the text line. Does Rylie like the chances of Sale Session on Saturday? I can't tell. That's John from June Denner. John giving me a little bit of a whack there regarding my set against Sale Session. Maybe those comments might be because I might have referred to Military Power as a bit of a battler earlier in the preview. So maybe John's a little bit angry at me for that. I know he's a very big fan of that horse. He's made plenty of money backing it previously. And good luck with the wedding, Bradley, as well. I overheard Peng rehearsing his best man speech at the East Freo tab, and it's a real tearjerker. Fred from Freo.
Mumbles.
Fred is just quality every time he texts in.
Never misses.
Never misses. That's a ripper. I'm a Filthy Habits man.
Makes a couple in the studio.
I just love the return. First up at the mile, 60 kilos, wrong part of the track, fast run race. Just kept fighting. That's what he does when challenged the way he did, and should only improve for that outing and out to 1,800 metres here. Gets a couple of kilos on above the peg as well, who was granted a lot more favours there and was still only beaten a half-length margin. I thought this was a race in two with Filthy Habits and Premium Girl. Premium Girl won like a horse who can continue to keep winning races at Bunbury. Last start, I thought she was the recipient of a very smart pre-race plan from Chris Parnham and Tony Triscari, who I believe initially had planned to go forward with her before the track pattern had emerged, and that they thought the best option with her to give her the best chance to get to those lanes was to go back and ride her cold, and it might not have been the easiest watch, but she got the job done. She is on trial at the 1,800 metres, which is a question mark. She has proven herself over the mile, we know that. And I just thought that they'd be happy to ride her conservatively from the good draw, given she is up 400 metres in trip Brad, which could potentially mean there are a couple in front of her that could act as roadblocks if Filthy Habits is out in front and rolling along and kicking into that corner. Filthy Habits is the one for me in that regard from a price perspective as well. But, gee, I'd love some each way, and doubtful that we see that, Brad, with the toppy.
And the money that's already come means there's probably no bounce back there. A bit of depth to this race. Make a case for a few others at the bigger prices. So no real opinion. But even like a horse like Sowor would have... I love it when Sowor and Holly pair up. So would have been pretty keen at that price. It's going really well. It was a huge run last start, Sowor.
Very good.
So you just sort of readjust your price on an apprentice there, but still got to be a good chance. And a few others that are above the pegs back in winning form. Here for Checks, ticking along nicely, had excuses last start. Covert Rose on the bounce, back to a more suitable trip, will be well supported. Pike in the last, etc., etc. So, yeah, there's a bit in the race. I certainly didn't have those two as dominant in the market as others, but the market has spoken and the punters have spoken.
Yeah, I'm taking a bit of a set against that here for Checks Covert Rose form. I think the superior form is the way the market has gravitated, Brad, so maybe that's where we differentiate.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 in a row to Carlton here, Kemp and then Williams in the space of a minute. So it goes back to 4, I think it's, what have we got? 4-4-28 to 4-1-25, a 3-point lead to Hawthorn. It was Sard charging off half back with his speed. Let one long go, and Williams was just how to get rid of GF. He's having a shocking night. He's given 2 away, 1 result in a goal, just too easily bumped out of the way there by Williams. And before we get our best bets, Pinjarra Cup, sponsored by Tap Touch on Sunday. Markets are up.
They are indeed, Mart. I'll take it from the top if you like.
Yeah, away you go.
Curramundi opened 13. There has been a bit of local sharp money there into $12. Antique Miss 360 into 320. 210. Captain Pluto out to 235. Bit of a drift there. So there's been a bit of money there. Antique Miss blazing away. 50s into 34, Demolish, 850 out to 950 into 750. So there's been some snipping there. Red Sun Sensation, $16, Sensational, $7 out to 8 back into 750. Fat Roy Slim, 100s into 80s. Fear the Wind, 18 out to 21. Flower in the Wind, 101 into 71. There's a bit of market merging going on here, I think, Mart. Magic Whistle, 26 into 23.
Any early thoughts there, Rylie? Or a bit early for you?
Antique Miss looks just having a skim through this field. There are going to be plenty on or with her to turn the tables on our favourite Captain Pluto with that weight swing. Beautiful map. Barrier 4 going to have field advantage on Captain Pluto, who's likely almost guaranteed to settle in the back half of the field and can be quite a difficult place if those horses in the front half of the field can get away from you off that corner at Pinjarra. Can be a pretty tough place to make up some ground, as we know. So Antique Miss looks very well placed if she sees out her strong 2,300 metres, which I assume she will. Any thoughts?
Not at this stage.
No.
I'm definitely looking at an improved performance from Curramundi. I think things just didn't work out for it last start. He could run a race, but otherwise Captain Pluto did it well. It's just humming this preparation, Captain Pluto, so very hard to beat.
That was a William Pike 12 out of 10.
Special, wasn't it? Okay, let's get our best bets for Saturday in the book.
Bradley, would you like to kick us off?
Yep, nothing from me.
Okay. Saving the money for the wedding.
Nice and early for me, Mart. I do like My Lovely Pet in race number 1 on the program.
1-4.
Yes. Race 6, the Grandstand Cup, I'll be having a good result on Watch Me Rock and a smaller result, Destiny for Jordan Rolfe, who I thought was terrific in that Bunbury Stakes. Race 7, backing Machine Gun Gracie, Saving Twilight Tale. They look the 2 for me in the Natasha. Race 8, with discretion each way for Mickey Grantham, taking a little mini set against our 2 favourites in that market. And in the last, Filthy Habits for me, Mart. Would love to see some each way if that money for Premium Girl continues to roll in. Doubtful we will, but do like how that race sets up for it.
Well, they'll go out on social, so make sure you tune in. You've been very good. Now, you're about to take a month's sojourn, isn't it? Is that right? Have we got the dates right?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay. We won't go without you, that is for sure.
Bucks? Question mark?
What do you mean?
Are you having one?
Yeah. You've got the invite. Not sure we're going to publicise the date.
Not public information.
Don't want
you might have some I was going to say some unwanted guests might rear there.
Yeah. Okay, we got to go.
We're out.
Thank you. Been very good today.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, thanks.
We hope you enjoyed another stimulating episode of Straight Up. All betting markets supplied by Tab Touch. All care, no responsibility went into the production of today's podcast.